you know, the great James Earl Jones, he is...
I mean, what a voice to follow. Look at your face.
You know, like, yes, in the context of Mufasa, the Lion King,
yes.
you know, even outside of that context, just the entirety of his artistry, you know, his extensive filmography, extensive theatre work, voice work, he's been an inspiration for me way before I got the call to be part of the Lion King.
Everybody else thinks you shred it, you crush it, but you're not so sure.
Yeah, I really didn't do much singing before this. I'd never sung professionally in any capacity, and any singing I did do was very much in the privacy of my own home with the acoustics of my shower. And even then, I wasn't convinced that I sounded even remotely good, but someone believed in me.
Yeah.
So I went through I'd call it a very friendly Disney boot camp, and I got a call, and it was that Barry Jenkins wanted me to portray Mufasa, and he's a really dear friend of mine. He's like a big brother to me, so he gave that offer to me on my birthday, which was really beautiful. So I used to really look forward to it, and I mean for like years, because I was so short. I was so short. I was in a group of all my mates.
For a bit, I'm gonna have a grow.
Yeah, you better watch out when I get back.
Virgin Radio.
Vassos, over to you, my friend.
Our next guest is about to become a household name, and when he was last on Netflix, within a week, 31 million people had logged on to watch him. He now stars as Mufasa in Mufasa the Lion King, which hits cinemas next Friday. So we said our prayer and managed to snare Aaron Pierre.
Let's hear it, team. Here we go.
Hey.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, team.
We're excited about having you on the show. Oh, my goodness me.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you here. Everybody's so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here, especially at this time of year. I love the energy in here, love the vibes, got all the Christmas decorations. I'm feeling very Christmassy right now.
Is it like this wherever you go at the moment?
I mean, I'm just really grateful for the reception that, you know, the most recent projects that have come out have received. You know, I'm a really big believer that nobody has to watch anything. You know, people are busy, they have bills to pay, they have lives to get on with. So always very grateful for the time and energy that people, you know, give to any projects.
Could you be any less likeable, Vassos, as far as you're concerned? You're such a nice guy. Oh, my gosh. And it's great to see you literally in the flesh. Just walk us through a few of the things that you're talking about there, the last projects that you've been fortunate enough to be in and enjoy and be successful via. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, this year has been it's been really a dream year. So at the top of the year, Genius MLKX came out. That was followed by Rebel Ridge on Netflix. And now Mufasa the Lion King is coming out December 20th, right in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
And in the new year, Lanterns, Jon Stewart. So it's been a really, really wonderful year. Very grateful and just looking forward to getting to the work. Yeah.
It's like buying a scratch card, isn't it, and getting 3 jackpots.
And then looking around thinking like this is someone else's scratch card.
It's so funny.
Exactly.
And I can tell that as well. Oh, so how did one project happen off the back of the other? Which was the first tipping point? There's no such thing as an overnight success in any business. Yeah. Tell us about yours. Yeah, I mean, I think so. We'd just come out of the pandemic. It was sort of, I want to say, 2021, where we were still in the period of, you know, just a couple of restrictions. But just as we came out of that. So you're 25, 26 at the time?
So yeah, I can't even, my maths is terrible. I'm 30 now. I mean,
yeah, so 25,
yeah, about 25, 26, yeah. And I got a call, and it was that Barry Jenkins wanted me to portray Mufasa. And he's a really dear friend of mine. He's like a big brother to me. So he gave that offer to me on my birthday, which was really beautiful. And then that seemed to be the sort of like a domino effect. That thing led to, you know, Foe, which led to Rebel Ridge, which led to Genius, and all these other beautiful projects I've been fortunate enough to be part of. So yeah, very, very thankful. Still pinching myself, to be honest with you.
Good for you.
Haven't quite
never
processed
stop
it.
pinching
No,
yourself.
for sure.
It's the way to do it.
You know, but you know, hopefully I'll be able to digest it and process it at some point. But
and the irony of that story is that Mufasa bookends both because it was the first thing, but it's the most recent thing out because
Yes, exactly,
that's
yeah.
the kind of production time scale we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and I mean, animation is, I mean, you know this, but I mean, animation is, it's so easy to assume that it's sort of, you know, it just gets put together and then there it is. Let's all go and watch it and have a good
It's all
time.
computers nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there is an enormous team of animators, an enormous sound team, visual effects, you know, the wonderful artists, physical artists who go in and they put on these suits and they, you know, impersonate lions and things. This process has been about 4 years, 3 years for myself, but I mean, for Barry Jenkins and the team at Disney, this is like 4 years, 5 years in the making. So I can only imagine for them how joyous this moment is to finally share it with the world.
Yeah, because that's a big chunk of your life, 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, especially for me. I feel like that's pretty much maybe a fifth. What is that, sixth of my life? I don't know.
Yeah, but you're doing other things. Talking about the guys who this is their be all and end all for 4 years.
Oh my
You've only
goodness,
got a
yeah,
few
it's
of those in
commitment.
your career, haven't you?
That's so true. Yeah, it's so true. And especially for Barry filmmakers, you know, they once they commit to a project, that's it for them. You know, they commit to that for the pre-production, the production itself, and then post. That can take up many years of your life. So you really have to love it.
Yeah, and Vassos and I know where you're coming from to do with feature animation because, of course, of my post my starring role in Postman Pat, the movie.
Lovely.
And
Yeah, I was once a news reading moose in Zootropolis.
yeah, so we've been there. I had 10 seconds at the start of Postman Pat, the movie.
I had
Oh, I
12
love
words.
that. I love that.
Look,
So it's a shared experience.
it's almost like you should be interviewing us.
I should be.
I don't know why it's not the other way around. Do you? I don't get it.
I know.
I don't get it. But well, look, he's made his way. He's come all this way. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. Now, Vassos, you've seen Mufasa.
It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. I mean, the thing that I didn't know before I went to see it was that it's not an animation like you sort of feel like it's. The lion looks like a lion.
It's more David Attenborough.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of a David Attenborough lion. The songs are so joyous. And we were talking off air, and it's not at all patronising like some kids' films can be. It just feels
Totally,
like I was really happy watching it on my level, but I also can't wait to take my 10-year-old daughter to see it.
Oh, amazing. No, I think we were speaking just off air, and I think one of the first things that I said to Barry Jenkins, you know, the phenomenal director of The Lion King and many other incredible movies, I gave him a call and I just said, you've really walked this fine line that is so hard to walk, but you've done it effortlessly and so eloquently. This film is, yes, it's a kids movie, but it's not didactic and it's not patronizing to young audiences, and the result of that is that it's accessible for grown folks and adults, you know, and they can engage with it in a way that I think is really, really lovely.
You speak like you sing, but you do sing in the movie as well.
I do.
Everybody else
yeah.
thinks you shred it, you crush it, but you're not so sure.
Yeah, I really didn't do much singing before this. I'd never sung professionally in any capacity, and any singing I did do was very much in the privacy of my own home with the acoustics of my shower. And even then, I wasn't convinced that I sounded even remotely good, but someone believed in me.
Yeah.
So I went through I'd call it a very friendly Disney boot camp, where they just helped me to get my voice to the place they needed it
That's
to be.
interesting. Well, you know
Yeah.
they wouldn't let you do it in the film unless it was any good because they're Disney and it's a big
This
film.
is true,
You know
yeah.
that. You
They would
are.
have hired somebody else. This
it's
is
fine.
true.
Yeah, it's fine. So what was that like, that vocal boot camp? That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful experience. So, you know, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a phenomenal artist. You know,
Hello.
he's brilliant at what he does. You know, Encanto, like I could go on and on and on. You know, Hamilton, all of these beautiful
Also, his
films.
story, his origin story is really interesting as well, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, yeah, he has such a
Extraordinary.
rich story, and it's a really interesting journey he's been on. You know, but he's phenomenal, and he's written these beautiful songs. I've been asked to sing at least 3 of them, or be part of singing at least 3 of them. And I just was really honest with them. I'm a big believer in not bluffing, because I don't want to set myself up. So I was like, I'm not confident. I'm really nervous. If at all possible, could you just do anything you can to give me the tools I need to achieve this? And And they did. I was sort of training my voice, maybe I want to say like 4 days a week, 5 days a week, for an extended period of time. And then we got in there, and I'm using all the tools I can to do it. And they were happy. I said, if you like it, I love it. And I set it free, and that was it. Yeah.
You have got a beautiful voice anyway. I can say that. You don't even have to hear me saying that, but it's just true, and everybody knows that. And it's so adaptable. In Rebel Ridge, it's on a whole different level. It's so sort of, it's so vulnerable yet terrifying, your voice in that. And it seems to me you have one of those voices where you are only a breath away from singing anyway, if you know what I mean.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean by that?
I'm going to take it, because that sounds like a really wonderful compliment.
Well, I think if you just change the intonation of anything you want to say in the next 50 seconds, it would just turn into song anyway. Or you just have that seductive effect on our ears. Can we just talk about Rebel Ridge as well?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for watching that, by the way. I know
watched it
you're
yesterday.
a very, very busy gentleman, so I appreciate it.
It was a joy, man. It was a joy. I was going to give it 20 minutes like you do. And I was in like Flint. And you know, because I've told you, I messed up the tea because of it. I forgot to put in the potatoes. But anyway, I styled it out. Tash didn't notice until she did. Doesn't matter. But Rebel Ridge, for people who haven't seen it, it's a great weekend watch. You could do a lot worse and not much better than watching Rebel Ridge tonight if you have Netflix. What's it about? And then I want to chat to you about it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Rebel Ridge is written and directed by a phenomenal filmmaker, Jeremy Saulnier. Previous work of his is, my favorite is Blue Ruin. And, Rebel Ridge is about it's a former Marine, and he cycles into town. And Jeremy loves sort of the Western genre, so he cycles into town, and that's Jeremy's version of Terry Richmond being on a horse riding into town. Right?
Yeah. There's a stranger in town.
Yeah, there's a stranger in town. And he gets knocked off his bike by law enforcement, and then this whole story unfolds around civil asset forfeiture, which not everyone has heard of, but those who have heard of it feel a way about it. It's a very frustrating thing. And this money was, it was meant to be to post bail for his cousin, but the money is seized unjustly, and then little do they know, as I say, he's a former Marine, so they've kind of barked up the wrong tree, and
the wrong guy,
and then off goes Terry Richmond.
It's so good. And Ozzy Jen and I were talking about the fact, it is an action movie, but it's not an action movie in as much as, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about. I was excited about this bit to talk to you about. The fight scenes are less Kill Bill and more like they might actually be if you are a martial artist expert in the Royal Marines. The car chases seem like they might be if you were involved in one of those. Was that the deal?
Totally. You actually hit the nail on the head there. Jeremy is someone who he's not the greatest fan of unrealistic fight scenes
Theatrical,
and unrealistic car chases. He wants it to feel like that might be able to happen to me if I cross the wrong person.
Very basic moves.
Yeah.
So the fight scenes, they're almost clumsy because that's how it would be.
Because that's how fights are. Like it's very, but he manages to tell this story of this character in a really beautiful way through the fight scenes. He could, if he wanted to, do far worse to these individuals, but he takes the route of disciplining them.
Yeah.
And teaching manners.
In the middle of like this crazy situation, which only gets crazier. Who is the female lead?
Anna Sophia Robb, very dear friend of mine.
Unbelievable.
And a brilliant artist, such a generous collaborator. And
what a story.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
What a couple as well.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously I was like, they've got to get together. but there's that tension, there's that resistance as well. It's like all going on. It's brilliant film. Loved it. How long has that been out for?
I think that was released in, I think it came out in September.
Yeah, I mean, some people, my brother-in-law, Tash's brother, my wife's brother, he only has to look at a gym, right, and he gets ripped. It's so unfair. And I suspect that your sort of, what do you call it, biomechanics, your DNA might not be dissimilar. What was it like at school?
Honestly,
sports teams.
It's really so. I did play rugby. I was left wing. Love rugby. It's very exhilarating. I haven't played in a while. But other than rugby, and actually, I would say probably prior to that. I can't remember, a long time ago. But I was very short.
Were you?
And I was very lean. I was very thin.
Because you're 6'3" now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
So you had a Michael Jordan-esque growth spurt.
I just had a growth spurt. I think I was in year 11.
How many inches in the year?
It was a lot.
It was?
It was the summer. Summer. It's so funny. I used to really look forward to summer because I used to grow during the summer, and I noticed it myself.
That is exactly what Michael Jordan says in his documentary.
Oh, really?
They sent him away to grow. And he said, "You're insane. You just don't want me back." They said, "No, you will grow. Go away every summer and you'll grow." And he said they were right.
Oh no! Well, so I used to really look forward to it, and I mean for like
years,
because I was so short. I was in a group of all my mates.
For a bit, I'm gonna have a grow.
Yeah, you better watch out when I get back. So year 7, year 8, and year 9 didn't have much success, but then year 10 and 11, I came back and my blazer was a bit too short. I was all of a sudden I was meeting the eye lines of my friends.
Interesting.
And then my voice dropped, and that was a whole experience. I felt like I was wearing shoes that were like 2 sizes too big. I didn't quite know how to navigate it. Wow. But that I would say before that, my voice was pretty high pitched. I was pretty short and thin. And then, just played a heck of a lot of football during the summer. And also I was a big pedal bike boy. Right. So I would be riding around South London on my pedal bike a lot. So I was moving a lot. And here we are, 6'3".
Unbelievable. Have you always had those eyes as well? I mean, I know you've always had those eyes, but
Yeah, I have. At least I think so, unless someone lied to me. I don't know.
It's funny, isn't it? Because, we talk about superstars of the past, and you're definitely a superstar, if not already the present of the future. And again, you don't have to hear that, but I'm going to say it because everybody thinks that works on the show, and I think they're all right. But you do seem to have been given, again, and I know you're so grateful and humble about this, but you do seem to have been given the complete package, and that does happen to some people. Do you feel that?
Honestly, I'm in a bit of a moment of just processing, honestly, and just sort of digesting all of these really beautiful moments. I think, yes, one day I did decide, I was probably about 15 or 14, I decided, I'd love to be an actor. But I never imagined that anybody would open any doors where I would do anything more than, just sort of my own work, really. And when it became more than my own work, became more than just sort of personal projects, it was very surreal, and it still continues to be surreal. And I think that's why I work so hard. It's just trying to honor that.
Where's your work ethic come from?
Honestly, I think it comes from my parents and my grandparents, and I think also it comes from doing a lot of sports as a kid. I think it comes from being part of the rugby team when I was younger. I think it comes from doing track and field, 100-meter sprint and the relay. I think because that's what I wanted to do first originally. I wanted to be a sprinter, and I think that has sort of found its way into this artistic route that I'm pursuing now. Granted, I have to reserve that for when I'm actually doing the work, because art is subjective, and two individuals can go in for a role. One can have just come out from an all-nighter. You could have read the script 5 times, know your lines back to front. You both go in the audition room. The guy who's still drunk from the night before, they go, "There's just something about him. He's the one." So it's. I have to reserve that sort of athletic approach for when I actually have the work. Now I've got the work. Okay, now I can really work hard and do all the things. Yeah,
it's different what it takes to bag a role than fulfill a role.
Exactly right.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. I heard something yesterday, which I hope you don't mind me talking to you about, to do with how come we're so fascinated with sport, right? So how come we're so fascinated with sport and movies? And it's the same reason, apparently. I don't know if you find this interesting. Yeah. The reason we're so fascinated with sport is because it's the most entertaining representation of human excellence. Because we're all fascinated by we're all trying to be excellent, and therefore when we come across excellent in print, in music, then we admire it. And apparently the most entertaining and engaging way of of looking at human excellence is sport for so many reasons. So it's about diligence, it's about passion, it's about commitment, it's about strength, it's about attention to detail, and that's why we love sport. And it's the same with movies, because people say to us all the time, and you, I'm sure, movies this, movies that, movie stars this, movie stars that. Why do we care about them so much? Well, because it is the second or equal most entertaining example of human excellence.
Wow.
And when you get an individual like you, who clearly has all these values as a human being, and then gets the gift of telling a story, which is the human species superpower, our overwhelming superpower is our ability to tell stories, and then you give them to somebody like you, and then all bets are off.
Wow. I like it here. That was so insightful. That was amazing. Did you watch that in the documentary, or did you speak to a friend?
I just heard it yesterday. I heard it from Ryan Holiday. He wrote "Ego is the Enemy."
Oh, I love Ryan Holiday.
Yeah, well, it's his latest. That's his latest sort of riff.
Yeah. Have you read The Daily Stoic?
Yeah. We've had him on the show.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, we love Ryan. But I'd never heard it put like that before, and it was a real oh, of course. That's why we love it. Because, you hold these people up as heroes, which is why we're so devastated when they let us down. But, a guy like you, with all the resources at your fingertips, and with the humility you seem to have also been blessed with, which I'm sure comes from your mum and your family and your friends. I mean, thank God that you are in charge of this for a bit, because the world can only be better for it.
I hope so. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much.
How's your mum?
She's well. She's well. Mum, dad, everyone, brother, sister, they're doing well.
Tell us about them. We've got kids. How do we get a you? We've still got a chance, haven't we? Well, give us some parenting tips from the other side of the tracks.
Honestly, I think, so my mother, my father, my sister and my brother, they attended the Mufasa the Lion King London premiere, which was
massive.
Which was, you were telling me you were on a run before it was while it was getting set up, and you said, "What is going on?"
Aaron's gonna love this. Not sure he's ready for it, but he's gonna love it.
But it was, they stopped by, and it was just such a beautiful moment. It's I don't know. We're all Londoners, and I think it was just a special moment for them, being like, London has, or Leicester Square at least, has stopped to celebrate a movie that our kid is part of. And I say kid because, I can be as tall as I want or big as I want, but at the end of the day, when my mum says to take the bins out, I take the bins out. You know what I mean? So I'm still her baby, I'm still her little boy, and for me, I was just so happy to have them there. I don't know if anybody shares this, but I have this thing with my mum where I always ask her, is she proud of me? And she's been telling me for years and years and years, she always will say to me, I was proud of you before you were born, right? But I have this thing where I need validation from my mum. I need her to tell me she's proud of me. So, of course, I was like, Mum, are you proud of me? Mum, they built a Pride Rock and I stood on it. Are you proud of me? She said, Aaron, that's wonderful. That's lovely. Congratulations. But I'm proud of you way before any of this, and one day I will learn that fact, but until then I will keep pestering her, asking if she's proud.
Well, let's hope you don't, in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because you've always got to have something to strive for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And maybe whenever the day comes, the inevitable day comes, she'll just give you a look, say, yeah, actually I always was, I just didn't want to let you know. That kind of thing. So tell us more about that night. Come on.
It was amazing. I mean, so we arrived and we did the press line, which was wonderful. Said hello to all of the supporters who came out. It was cold that night.
Yeah,
it was cold.
Well, can I just tell you, when I was running through in the morning, there were people queuing up to get in, and I run past at 5:45 a.m. and there were fans queuing up then
already
for you. And what time was the premiere?
It was early evening.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
It was and it was you guys were out that day, whether you were coming to or from work, it was freezing cold. And, some, lovely, wonderful people were trying to escort me in, but I had to go and say hello to the people who were out there freezing. And that really filled my cup. That really warmed my heart. People felt so compelled to stand there for as many hours as they did, just waiting to, whether it was to have a photo or just have a quick chat. And I'm very grateful to them, because without them, none of this happens. I think sometimes some people forget that, none of these films, a film can't be a success without people.
Yeah.
Without the people who see it. So you need to reciprocate the love that's being shown to you. So it was wonderful. We went in there, we had a blast, and I told you off air, they built a Pride Rock in Tower Bridge. That was mental.
I know.
That was,
so that night, was that the biggest night of your career so far?
That's certainly the largest premiere I've ever attended.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you put your head on your pillow that night,
yes.
Were you reflecting on the day where you just knackered, couldn't wait to get to sleep? To tell us about your sleeping thoughts.
I was trying to get to sleep, but I was like, for me, the kid in me, The Lion King was my favorite movie growing up, so a Disney movie. So I was trying to get to sleep, but I couldn't. I was just still high off of the excitement and the energy, and I probably got about 3 or 4 hours sleep that night because I couldn't get to sleep because I was still...
Well, you only got 3 or 4 hours, which is more than most of us would have got. We wouldn't have gone home, would we? Still be out now. So Mufasa's of the past, of course.
Yes.
Sometimes actors do watch shows or films or versions, incarnations of what's gone before.
Right, yeah.
What about you?
Massively. So, the great James Earl Jones, he is...
I mean, what a voice to follow. Look at your face.
Yes, in the context of Mufasa, the Lion King,
yes.
He's an enormous inspiration to me, but even outside of that context, just the entirety of his artistry, his extensive filmography, extensive theatre work, voice work, he's been an inspiration for me way before I got the call to be part of The Lion King, way before I became professional as an actor. So for me, he's the top of the mountain, and he was certainly my guiding light in this, but actually he's my guiding light, period,
Really?
In terms of it doesn't get better than James Earl Jones for me.
He held himself and the
way
he
he
went about his
carried himself.
business.
Yeah, so always so respectful, kind, professional, and no job was just a job for him. He recognized that this is not something that should be missed on you. It's not something you should take for granted. He sees those opportunities. He poured himself into it. So if I can be even remotely similar to him in the way that he conducted himself and committed himself to his craft, I'll be proud.
I think you are going to be massive, but it's just my opinion.
Thank you.
More importantly is what your mum thinks.
This is true. But thank you so much for having me. It's just been really wonderful, really beautiful.
Well, he didn't disappoint, did he? He didn't disappoint. Should we give him another round of applause? Okay.
Aww.
Here we go. Mufasa!
I love
The Lion King! Out next Friday, December 20. We got to go. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday because we start at 6:30 in the morning.